12 means only 10 students, including me and Anandraj. 12 means only 10 students are present here till now. Okay, so good morning, all of you. So we can start today's session. Is it visible from your side?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today, what we are means we are going to discuss about DC-DC converter. Okay, so some simulations. Actually, today I am not going to discuss about the basic theory on it. So then I will give you that work to you. So and share this document. Okay, with you. So all of you try to simulate it to your hostel. After that, I think you have done lot of things till now. Means a lot of simulation you have already you have already covered. Means different means based on the ICR, based on based on uncontrolled and control rectifier with different loads. So I think all of you are right now very much familiar with that NI multisim. So today I'm discuss about what is our motivation to do this type of experiment. Okay, for simulation of DC-DC converter. Okay, so after that I'll share this file with you so you can simulate it to your hostel. Okay, after in that case, if you faced any kinds of difficulties, then we can also discuss in the next class. I think you will not get faced any kinds of difficulties. You will get all those things similar way. There will be no problem. I think so. Okay, so first you know that what is the purpose of the DC-DC converter. Okay, basic purpose is that DC-DC converter is if you have some variable DC, so it will provide you the constant DC. Just for a moment. Okay, so normally what happen in there are different types of DC-DC converter. Okay, so if you have the if you want to step up your input voltage, input in case of DC-DC converter, what happen? Input is DC, output is as well as DC. Both input and output are DC. But if your input is fixed DC, so output will be variable DC. Okay, if your input is variable DC, so output will be the fixed DC. So regulations. Okay, so main features of that converter, it can maintain the regulations. Okay, if anyhow your output is varying, means output load is varying. Okay, so definitely that power conservation of energy, so power must be constant for both of the input side and output side. If power is conserved, so somehow load is increased, means current is increased, so voltage will be decreased to maintaining the power constant, like that way. So regulated output in one sentence. Okay, so based on its applications, okay, so you can categorize in DC to DC converter means broadly two types. Okay, first one is called non-isolated type DC-DC converter. Secondly, it is called isolated type DC-DC converter. After discussing my this topic, then I will check your manual. Okay, I mean, sorry, technical write-up. Okay, so be prepared that one with your laptop. Okay, so I can ask any of you. So discuss means the show me the simulation result of the last class. Okay. So after completion of my means after completion of this theory portions. Okay. So if your input is if you try to stepping down, okay, so stepping down means what happen, you have some voltage of input, okay, so if you want to reduce voltage DC output over it, so you normally using the buck converter. Okay, the reversing also happen, that is called boost converter. Okay, means if you want to stepping up that voltage, input voltage to the output voltage, so its working principle is follow the working of the boost converter. Okay, stepping up that value. Similarly, both the operation also been possible in buck boost mode. So it can be stepping down the voltage as well as stepping up the voltage. Both the operation is possible in buck boost converter. After that, these all are the examples of what? That non-isolated type converters. Okay, so what is the difference between isolated converter and non-isolated converter? Like your gate pulse, last class I discussed. So there is a electrical isolation. Okay, in between your input side to output side. Okay, in gate driver, so there was electrical isolation between the ground, okay, power circuit ground to the control circuit ground. Okay, there may be different types of isolations, magnetic isolations, optical isolations. Okay, magnetic isolation is isolation transformer. In power electronics, for the gate driver circuit, you can also use the some isolation transformer, high frequency isolation transformer. It also possible. Okay, but in case of similar kinds of options also been observed in case of DC-DC converter. So isolated output, okay, means your primary side means your input side, your that converter configuration is such a manner in between input and output, so you are using some high frequency transformer. Okay, so that is also called transformerized DC-DC switching converter. Okay, that is one isolation, means isolating between output ground to the input ground. That is number one. Another advantage also be there. Okay, so that is gain. Okay, so in case of isolation transformer, you will get more gain than your normal non-isolated DC-DC converter. Okay, so buck converter is example of a non-isolated type DC-DC converter. In case of isolated DC-DC converter, the buck version is normally known as forward. Okay, so same kinds of features different like buck boost, also known as flyback converter. Okay, so in case of buck boost converter, that isolation transformer you are using, that is not a transformer, that is isolation inductor. Okay, isolating inductor, it can be energy stored as well as charging energy as well as discharging energy, and also making that isolation. So it is called inductor transformer in case of flyback converter. So special type of transformer. Okay, so different process possibilities also be there, like push pull converter also be there. Okay, these all are the different examples, flyback, forward, push pull. Okay, these are the very common examples for a isolated DC-DC converter. You can also simulate it to here, no problem. Okay, basically right now you are more capable to do simulation in enamel testing. Okay, you are almost almost that lab is going to be end within another right now today is your, you can say like that, it is third week of February, so another 2-3 weeks it will be completed. So you can say like that you are almost end of that laboratory, means another 2-3 experiments will be there, after that it will be completed. Okay, so lots of simulation you have already perform. Those are doing in very wholeheartedly. I am telling about, most of you are doing it wholeheartedly. Okay, that I am telling you. So that's the basic difference between isolated converter and non-isolated converter. So first we are starting with the DC-DC converter. Okay, another converter also be there. Up to, I have told you, up to buck boost converter. Then there is some special type of converter, that is bridge converter, half bridge converter, full bridge converter. These also the examples of a DC-DC switching converter. Here I am that asymmetrical bridge converter that you can see. So half bridge converter. So control switches there. Okay, then you are using different types of load. Okay, so here I am taking only most of the cases resistive load. So you should do it in different types of load. Okay, R load, RL load, RLE load. That only for the guideline. Okay, that I am giving you. Okay, so after my class, I shared that document. The simulation is done by my side, means enter the thing I have prepared. Okay, please do not copy and paste. Okay, so so I'll share this file with you, so you can also get some guideline from my side also. Okay, so then full bridge converter. Okay, in case of full bridge converter, you can see both of the switches. Here asymmetrical bridge, what happened? One leg having one control switch, another uncontrolled switch. That is MUR 1560. Okay, so that 460 normally we are using. Now 15 means 15 ampere. That diode can carry up to 15 ampere. Okay, so different and pulsing is there. Okay, so then here you can see another this is 4 control switch, so some delay also be there. Okay, so everything is mentioned here. You can also see some, if it is RL, RL, you can see it is RL. Okay, sometimes that's why we are using some anti-parallel diode. Okay, in this case also we should use sometimes blanking circuit. Okay, blanking circuit means, you know, I think in power electronics, you know that if both all the switch 1 2 3 sorry 1 2 3 4 4 switches working simultaneously, it has happened in case of RL load. Then what happened, 4 switches working in simultaneously, because due to that load this switch is not going to be turned off, and simultaneously as your false gate pulse, so these two switch again turn. Then what happened, simultaneously S1 S2 S3 S4 4 are working. Okay, so that may cause for that short circuit conditions. Okay, that's why you should use some blanking circuit. Okay, so some blanking circuit is required. XOR. Okay, so there is a XOR gate. Okay, so you can make a Google search, you can understand. So one XOR gate is there. Okay, with the differential. Actually, the configuration is look like a that is called differentiator. Okay, and the XOR gate. Okay, when and you should take the pulses. That pulses you are getting here. So that pulses you are feed to the XOR gate and the differential amplifier. So not differential amplifier, that is differentiator. Okay. If pulse may cause in differentiator, it's look like impulse, like that thing. Okay, so like that way, when XOR gate, there is one RC circuit. Okay, so both of the, you know that logic of the XOR gate. Okay, so both that way, when you are getting that pulse at there, so that may give you some delay with that circuit. Okay, so after that, after completions of this work, only these two switch may work. Okay, so I'm giving some of the results on it. Okay, so that like your only some guideline, but entire but more results. Okay, with your parameters, everything is expected from your side. That's the very basic guideline. Okay, so very basic, very basic guideline. Okay, there is nothing big things are given. So but you have to prepare the technical write-up as per your idea. I know that you are already preparing. You have already prepared lots of technical reports based on that with different load. In case of DC converter, here I am using only R load and showing the results. You can check it for the RL load, what happened. You can check it also for RLE load, what happened. You can check it. Okay, and you can provide the results also. Okay, for your better conception. So I'm not going to discuss about that working principle of buck converter. So all of you are aware about it. Okay, so it's a MOSFET, that's why you know that one additional resistance I have added over here. So instead of this pulse, okay, it's a cause the pulse generator. Okay, so instead of this pulse, you can also use that gate driver circuit in the last class you have used. Okay, you can feed that gate driver circuit to the MOSFET. So practically you can realize how it will work. Okay, so instead of this pulse, you can use that gate driver circuit. In case of NI multisim, also you can also prepare some subsystem type of block. Okay, subsystem type of block means enter gate driver circuit, maybe roomed on one single block, so that is called subsystem block. That also been possible. Okay, in case of gate driver circuit, you can feed that direct gate driver to here also with the variations of the voltage level as well as the frequency level. This is 6 volt it is given, so you can make it also 15 volts, so no problem. This is IRF P450, not P, IRF 450 MOSFET is we are using. So it is your current, okay, current probe. Okay, current probe having very less resistance here, I think you can understand here. Okay, so you can measure the current response also. Okay, that this all the filter inductor and the capacitor. Okay, so capacitor it is only 47 microfarad I am using, but you can see that inductor value is more high, 13 millihenry. Okay, so if you want to give it in case of buck converter, if you compare with the boost, so inductor value is more in case of buck converter, and the output capacitor you can make it big, but as your inductor is more, so that's why your output capacitor also been decreased. But in case of boost converter, here you can see a chunk coming the boost converter. First it is given the 25% duty cycle is given, on time is there. Okay, time period is also mentioned, diode which type of batch we are using, so both are there. Okay, so MOSFET it should be all value should be uppercase. Okay, so it should not be lowercase, it should be uppercase. Okay, MOSFET it is IRA P450. Okay, so inductor is there, a capacitor, load resistance. Now you can change that load resistance. Okay, so you can use also RL load, you can use also RLE load. Okay, so current probes are there as well as the oscilloscope, 2-channel oscilloscope we are using. So it is the gate pulse. Okay, you can see it's the nature of the gate pulse that I am telling you, 20%, 25%. So enter the period, time period you can calculate the where it is started. From here to here, enter time period, how much percentage it is turned on. So you can see under 25%. Okay. Then you can see the voltage and current wave from output voltage. Initially you can see some transient. Okay, so transient is there, then output voltage is fixed up around 7 volt. Okay, so what is the input? Input was 30.78 volt. Now it is coming 7 volt. Okay, how much duty you can calculate? Okay, duty ratio you can calculate. Current ratio, it should be V by R. If it is 7, so R value is what? It is 28.8. Okay, 28.8. So 7 by how much voltage is there? Voltage by resistance, it should be your current value. Okay, so current value is in your microampere level. Here you can see that milliampere level. Okay, so all are in the milliampere value. Okay, so you can understand that value. Okay, current is started initially transient, then you can damp out that value to here. Okay, so more or less constant. If you zoom that value, you can see it's look like a triangular one. Okay, so discussions. So you know that one, what you need to write, discussion with different load value, you can change it. So if you vary the pulse, okay, pulse width it is only 25%. So if you increase the pulse width, so you can check how much voltage level is changing. Okay, then again you can plot that graph. Okay, increasing of the gate pulse, okay, increasing of the pulse width, how much output voltage has changed. Okay, it is increasing or decreasing in case of current, in case of voltage. On tabulation you can do. Okay, then you can calculate it. Okay, average voltage you can calculate it from the formula instead of duty ratio. Okay, and you can also measure it like your previous equations. Okay, then first one is will be pulse width. Okay, serial number, then pulse width. Okay, pulse width from you can start with 10% or 10% you can start, then 10 you can increase 10, then 20, 30, 50, 60. Okay, or you can increase it 20 also, 10, then 30, then 50. Sorry, you can do also 15 degree, 30 degree. Okay, 45 degree, 60 degree. How much? Not degree, that range. If you increase the pulse width, what will be the changes? And you can also find out that measured output voltage. So one digital multimeter you can add over there, so you can get that measured output voltage, and calculated output voltage will be coming from the steady state duty ratio. So this operation here you can see, these all are the steady state operation. And first, these portions, that oscillatory portions, are normally known as oscillatory portion is normally known as transient operations. Okay, so that you can study here and plot a Excel, prepare a table. Okay, increasing of the pulse width, how much calculated DC voltage you are getting, and what is your measured voltage. Okay, what is your then percentage of error. You can also paste the waveform if you prepare in landscape, so it will be better to understand. And finally you plot one graph, okay, increasing of that pulse width, so how much output voltage calculated and that and your measured. Okay, so single graph, okay, in a single graph, so you can understand. Okay, increasing of the error, so we can understand from the table. Okay, no need to plot that error. Okay, so you can do it for different load, R load, RL load, RL load. I think you can understand for buck converter. Then same type of observation you can do it for the boost converter. So what is the working principle of the boost converter? So only that switch, okay, that switch here you can see with the switch is only the series with your voltage. Okay, when switch is off, then voltage is out of that circuit. Okay, switch is off. When switch is on, here you can see when switch is off means voltage V in is out of the circuit. When V in is there, so definitely diode will be not there, so that current will be flowing that way. Okay, so inductor, load, see, like that way. When switch is not there, so current also will same direction, but it will be discharged, capacitor will be discharged. Okay, but in case of boost converter, you just replacing that switch. Okay, so here you can see it is your uncontrolled switch. Now we are replacing that one. Okay, so control switch will be there and uncontrolled switch will be here. Okay, so here you can see that one. So exchange position of the control and uncontrolled switch, and filter is coming in nearer to the voltage. Okay, so then what happens when switch is on? So current will be flowing through the switch and inductor will be charged, and diode will be in reverse bias, so no current will be flowing from load side to source side. So what is the basic prerequisite for the boost converter? That capacitor will be initially charged. Okay, if it is not charged, so it will not work. So here you can see the capacitor value is quite increased than your inductor value. Oh, sorry, than your previous capacitor value. Previously it was 30 millihenry for buck converter, boost converter. Here you can see that 10 millihenry. Okay, so but switching frequency you can calculate if you increase the switching frequency. So if you increase the switching frequency, so that inductor size will be reduced. Okay, on time is there, off time is there, so total time period is 10 millisecond. Okay, so sorry, total mic is 1 millisecond. Okay, so so only it is designed for 1 kilohertz. Okay, so that design is only for 1 kilohertz. That's why inductor value is more high. You can see that 10 ohm, 10 milliohm and 1 ohm is the ESR, equivalent series resistance of inductor. Here you can see the equivalent series resistor for the capacitor, that is 10 milliohm. Here you can see 1 ohm. Okay, so both are in the series only. Okay, so what will be the problem? What will be the benefit over it? So when switch is off, that additional voltage, so adding with your source voltage, and entire voltage is coming across to your load. Okay, that's why you can see the more voltage appeared across the off time. Okay, on time it is already there. So total average voltage you are getting, okay, that is more than of your source voltage. So stepping up of that input voltage. So that's why it is known as boost converter or step up converter. So same kind of study you can also perform for load, RL load, RLE load, and you can also vary the gate pulse. Okay, so vary the gate pulse and see how much it will work. Okay, there is a motivation, so I am asking for the vary the gate pulse. Okay, if you increase the pulse width, what effects you can observe, that is important. Okay, if you increase such a manner, you can observe that it is totally on time. means totally on, there is no off, so there is a sub-circuited conditions. Okay, so some difficulty, some problem will be arise at that point, so you have to find out how it's which value it is coming, like that. Okay, so that's why I'm telling you, varying of the gate pulse with, okay, varying of the gate pulse width, you can find out the measure output voltage. With a digital multimeter, you can add over there and you can get that average output voltage. Okay, and you can also calculate that. This is very simple formulas are there for calculating the output voltage. Okay, then you can tally and plot it in a single graph. So calculated output voltage and the measured output voltage. Okay, both you can do. So we can understand the interpath. Okay, so here we are also using the same thing, diode, MOSFET. Okay, both we are using. So 50% duty we are considered that. Okay, so 10 volt is there, then we can understand that value. Okay, so that is your gate pulse. Okay, gate pulse, then the current waveform. Okay, and it is a voltage waveform. So voltage is average, if you see, it is nearer to the 15. Okay, 14 and 17, in between 14 and 17 means it is more or less 15 point something. So input voltage was 10 volt, input was 10 volt, now it is coming 15. Okay, for that study, so you can say like that, it is stepping up. So initially you can see one decay value, dipping. Okay, so in case of boost converter it started with 0, but here you can see one dipping is there. Okay, one dipping is there. So why that positions? Okay, so that positions, you can see the dipping. Okay, due to the non-minimum phase problem. What do you mean by the non-minimum phase problem? Means, you know that non-minimum means maximum phase. Okay, so in case of non-minimum phase, in the terminology of the control system. Okay, in control system terminology, non-minimum phase means there is no effects on the gain. If you do the frequency plot, there is no effects on the gain. But additional one RHP 0, right up in 0 is in your transfer function. Okay, plant transfer function. Okay, so what happened due to the non-minimum phase? So there will be no problem, or there will be no changes in the gain value. Okay, in Bode plot. Okay, in case of Bode plot, normally we are plotting, we are taking that loop transfer functions. Okay, that is one kind of open loop transfer function actually, and we are plotting the Bode plot. But in case of step response, we are doing it the unity feedback. Okay, that is a closed one. Okay. So in frequency domain operations, you can see for effects of non-minimum phase, there is no effects in the gain plot. But in case of phase plot, you can observe that is a unnecessary 90-degree delay will be there. If RHP 0, RHP 0 means minus 90 degree again contributing to the system. One RHP 0 means if you have second order system. Okay, if you have a second order system, so two poles already there in the denominator. Okay, so two poles contribute you minus 90 into 2 means minus 180 degree. Okay, another 0 in right up plane, that also provide you minus 90 degree. If it is placed in plus LHP, so it will contribute to plus 90, but still it is in RHP means minus 90 degree is contributing. Okay, so that the total voltage is minus 270 degree for, sorry, total phase delay is minus 270 degree. Okay, that's why it is called non-minimum phase system. That means maximum phase delay system. Okay, I think you can understand, but in case of boost converter it happened. That's why you can see initially there is some dipping here. You can see some dipping is there. That dipping is not possible, not observed in case of buck converter. Directly it is coming. Okay, there is no dipping. Okay, but in case of boost converter, the dipping is there. Okay, initially delay. Okay, that dipping, if you see that one, so some undershooting is there. That is called dipping. Okay, so it is happening due to non-minimum phase problem. Okay, so in case of boost converter, you can observe the dynamic response of the boost converter. Then we can go to the asymmetrical bridge converter. So you can do it for the buck boost converter also. Okay, buck boost converter, you know the structure of the buck boost converter. You can select the parameter value, you can simulate it, no problem. You can do it in your question. Okay, Then we are going to design the asymmetrical bridge. Okay, so you know that on asymmetrical bridge already you have simulated these kinds of operation, but that was asymmetrical bridge for rectifier. Okay, so input was your AC, but here you can see it's your input is DC. Okay, and one DC link capacitor is there, 1000 microfarad. Okay, so you can see both of the voltage. Okay, both side voltage is pulses are given. Okay, so it will work. Okay, and in between that RL load is there. Okay, you can also check it for different R load, RL load, and RLE load. Okay, and what will be your, that's your gate pulse. Okay, so that is just 180 degree apart each other. You can see when it will be low, it is high. Okay, when it is high, so, sorry, it is not a 180 degree apart, so both are in phase. Okay, both are in phase, so both are in the high mode. Okay, so you can see that current is charging, discharging, charging, this, and look like that matter, and voltage also been in the you know, that is pulse width type of voltage. Okay, pulse width means if you go for that, you have to calculate the average voltage. So what is your average voltage? V average equal to voltage in the turned on condition. So that is your V in, maybe V in into T on. Okay, then plus, then V out. Okay, that is your V out into T on. Okay, plus V out into T off. So in case of V out is in minus. Okay, so minus V out into T off whole divided by total time period is T on plus T off, means T. So okay, by this way you can find out the average value. Okay, in case of asymmetrical bridge. Okay, in case of asymmetrical bridge you can able to find out, and you can see the current is climb up, then climb down, climb up, climb down, climb up, climb down. So it is in triangular in nature current. Okay, so same thing also happened for the full bridge converter. Again you are replacing that diode rectifier, both the diode with the full bridge. So full bridge with anti-parallel, basically you are using RL load. If you are using RL load, so anti-parallel diode must be required. Okay, without anti-parallel diode it will not work. It is required. Okay, so here also you are getting that pulse width. So pulse width of the two arms, so these two and these two arms you can observe here. Okay, as well as the voltage you can get. So more voltage you are getting over here. So same way, how to find out the average value, average voltage, V average equal to that output voltage into on time. Okay, so into on time, then output voltage means that negative voltage into off time whole divided by total time period. Okay, total time period means T on plus T off. Okay, by that we will get to find out the average voltage. So that is for that non-isolated. So you can do it also for the isolated. For forward convert, in isolated that ground is different. Okay, that is number one. Number two is magnetically isolated, so ground is different. That is number one. Number two is you will get the more gain. Okay, so in this conventional converter you will not get not more than maybe 2-3 times of gain. You will get up to 20, up to 10. Okay, gain is up to 10 times. Okay, of your input. So the lifting, the voltage lifting is more, as well as the current capability also been more. And third point is you will get the multiple output. Here no options for the multiple output. Okay, in the transformerized operation, if you giving one input, so you will get the multiple output. If you are using multiple isolation topologies, okay, I mean transformerized topologies with multiple cores. So multiple core means multiple output. Okay, and input side, that current rating, if it is capable enough, if it is sufficient enough to provide that amount of current to the output, so there will be no problem. If it is not there, then it will be problem. Okay, I think you are able to understand, all of you are able to understand what you need to do. So that portions you should complete. Okay, so I will share that audio versions. Okay, as well as that material I am going to share it. So you will get some guideline and you can do which different types of DC-DC converter. for isolated as well as non-isolated. However, means whatever you are able to do, okay, that you can provide to your material. Okay, so I think you can, all of you have get the idea. Okay, and you can able to prepare that one. So next class I will discuss about the controller. Okay, so that is your open loop. Now after that I am to, first benefit when starting of the class I told you to where much more means think about that regulations portions. Okay, so if your input is changing, so output is fixing up. How? Basically, if you are using voltage mode control, okay, so what happen if you are using voltage mode control? So output input is changing means instantaneously output is also change. Okay, but the controller will be there. One controller will incorporate through the differential amplifier. Okay, from the controller we will get the control voltage, and that control voltage compare with your triangular one means repeating sequence. The frequency of the repeating sequence or the triangular one is the similar frequency of your converter switching frequency, means switching frequency, and that other one that should be same. Okay, means your repeating sequence. After that you will get that you will able to develop that pulse width. Okay, if you are able to pulse width, that pulse width feed to the MOSFET through a resistor. Okay, anyhow voltage has changed. Okay, output voltage has changed. That may change due to changing of your input voltage. That may change with the changes of your load. Okay, means additional load will be added with your system, or some of the load you are means extract from your system suddenly. So definitely output will be disturbed. So that controller, okay, will taken care about that one. So if that value is more, means error value is more, so more error will be coming from the differential amplifier. Okay, then you have to, then the controller is there, that is capable enough to reduce that error value, and it will compare with the triangular one and that feed to the MOSFET. Okay, so anyhow that DC value means triangular one is compared with the DC value. Last class we have discussed about the port results. Okay, anyhow that port is varying means pulse width also vary. So in closed loop system, so you are not using the port, so you are directly using that value directly coming from the error terminal of the secondary side, means reference value like said value with the error of your measured value. Okay, then you will get the error. That error is passing to the compensator for making it zero. Okay, so that then it will provide you the control signal. That control signal will compare with your repeating signal. Okay, that repeating signal means triangular signal. The frequency of the repeating signal also similar to the frequency of the switching frequency of your solid state device. Okay, so by this way you can control. Okay, anyhow output is changing, so gate pulse also mean varying. Okay, if gate pulse also varying, so that may cause for on and off of your switches. Okay, and you are able to get that you are able to get the regulated output. Okay, so another converter also be the DC-DC, that is bidirectional converter. That is not discussed here. The bidirectional converter is only used in the automobile right now, that electric vehicle automobile industries as well as the microgrid. Okay, so lots of application is observed for the DC-DC bidirectional converter. So what happen, how it will work? So if you have some DC value, okay, input side DC and output side DC. Okay, so but your switches are already in unidirectional switch. Okay, if you make it in bidirectional switch, only this is possible. Okay, both the direction of your power flow is possible. So what will be the logic? So basically the PWM is varying the basic of the varying. Okay, basic of the voltage varying of your input and output voltage. Okay, if your output voltage is automatically high compared to your input voltage, then definitely battery will be charged. Okay, that's why it is called bidirectional. So battery is connected as a battery is connected as a one end of your bidirectional converter. One end is a source, another end of your battery storage. Okay, means any of the storage. So by that way you can also vary the bidirectional power flow by using DC-DC switching converter. Okay, so that's way we can understand. So that bidirectional converter more mainly designed in the buck boost format. Okay, so buck boost converter is there. So then we can then buck boost converter is there, so it is bidirectional. Actually, all those cases, these all are the unidirectional. For the bidirectional, you can see these switches are the bidirectional switch. That these all are the MOSFET. So this example of a unidirectional. Okay, that switch also the unidirectional for asymmetrical bridge. So, but this switch in symmetrical full bridge symmetrical converter, this switch is called the bidirectional switch. So one is both the direction, it may be work. Okay, that switch is bidirectional switch. Okay, so I think all of you are able to understand that what I am going to discuss with you. So you can perform the simulation to your home. Okay, it means no, I think most of you are in the campus, so to your hostel. Okay, and next week you can submit it. Okay, as a technical write up, as a report. Okay, I am also posting that my audio versions as well as that file to this group. Okay, all of you please follow this one so you can understand that the portions. Okay. So today I'm